evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
My goodness, how's everybody doing? And I already got my stuff going in the background here. Got to turn that off.
Oh, that'd be good.
But no, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, wow, we are here for the post-Raw 51. Oh, it just doesn't have as much flair as the 50th episode of Raw, but that's okay. Happy Labor Day to those that are in America celebrating that holiday. I believe it's also like somewhere that I think in Europe, like they celebrate it as like St. Joseph's Day or something like that, or St. Joseph the Worker or something. That's like the Labor Day everywhere else, which I think is coming up soon.
I don't know.
So the world celebrates a Labor Day too, but here in America today is Labor Day, and we are laboring for your enjoyment as we talk about this post-Raw show. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat room real quick. We have Nafisa Dot. And by the way, we're starting this early tonight for special reasons because we're starting up school tomorrow. So we just want to, get a good night's rest. So we figured we start a little early.
It works for me.
Yeah, talk Raw. And
I think it works for everybody, actually.
I think it works for everybody. Yeah, why not? Absolutely. We got Nafisa Dad. We got Billy Hefner in the chat room. Hi, all. Quentin Walters. If I haven't said hi to anybody yet, just let yourselves be known. I'm sure a lot of people will check in with us around our normal start time, and then hopefully everybody will learn the actual that we actually started early tonight. So that'd be nice too. Okay. We watched a lot of wrestling this weekend, by the way. It's been NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. We had AEW All Out, which you can check out our post AEW show recap, archived here on YouTube and also available on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. Just look up Wrestleview Media. And now we're doing post Raw. And I figured, every time there's a Raw after an AEW show, like I'm always expecting they're going to come out swinging tonight and it's going to be a really good show. And most times I'm pretty disappointed. Well, tonight, yeah, it was slow at times, the show, but nothing was ever really bad or anything like that. In fact, we had a couple surprises, particularly with the King of the Ring, and the big news of the night is, at long last, SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, who has just been absolutely struggling along, doing absolutely nothing since her main roster debut, never really gained any footing, been stuck in bad storylines, all that stuff. She is now a heel. It's much needed, and it was a great surprise tonight.
Thank God, honestly. And I think that's one of the things that's actually going to affect the polls later. That very end of the show.
I am curious about that.
Oh my gosh, but very much needed. And we'll talk more about that.
Oh yeah,
sure.
no doubt about it. Yeah, I'm really, really interested to see the poll after the Bayley heel turn. In fact, you know what? I could just pull it up right now.
Oh.
If I was prepared. I do not have the poll open right now, so I'm opening it, and we'll see what it is in a second. See, that's why I got super excited about
us starting so early.
That I forgot to open up the dang poll. In fact, I've been going on the last few weeks, haven't really shown the poll really. Oh my God. Yep. You were right. 90% thumbs up.
I told you. Yeah.
For the Labor Day Raw from Baltimore.
Yeah, that did it. I think that for some people, I think they were just automatically like, woohoo.
Yeah.
Automatic thumbs up.
Oh, I don't think there's gonna be any 69 thumbs up tonight.
Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, I'm very, very sorry about that. Yeah. We got and now everybody's starting to figure it out. We got Danielle Scheel in the chat room. Emphasis on the heel, according to Quentin. We got Michonne Walls in the chat room as well, and people are starting to pile in. So that's good stuff. It's kind of it was a real shock that Bayley turned heel. In fact, I'd always kind of wondered, now Banks is back as a heel. Are they going to even address Bayley at all? And they haven't in the last few weeks.
I actually think it was a smart idea to not turn her right away or have her even get involved with Sasha Banks now that she's been back a couple of weeks, because it does leave the question, like you just said, of will she turn or will she even acknowledge the fact that Sasha Banks is back? But this was a very clever and effective way to get her to turn heel.
Yes.
And it was just very smart in general. So I'm glad they acknowledged it, and I'm glad it went in the direction that it needed to go in, that she turns heel at the end, because it was very much needed, and here we are.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about it. This is the big thing on the show.
Why not?
And then we'll go backwards and talk about the rest of the stuff. So Bayley turns heel. They were promoting all night a women's championship showcase, which is of course Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch teaming with SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley to take on the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And honestly, this Bayley heel turn was so not on my radar whatsoever.
No.
So not on my radar that I really thought, I was just like, oh, I'm going to be going on post Raw tonight because it's a Labor Day show. Nothing really important is going to happen. I'm just going to be talking about, oh, well, apparently they learned nothing from how they treated the Iconics because Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are being used as jobber fodder for bigger champions. And that's pretty much not how you should be booking the women's tag team champions, even though they should even have women tag team championship belts.
Well, especially if you want to develop it. Yeah, exactly.
And it did come very dangerously close to that, to me talking about that and ranting about it, and then Daniel Schell probably getting really excited that I'm ranting about, titles again. But then Sasha Banks ran in for the DQ, which was fine. I was like, okay, well, Sasha Banks is in the ring, and honestly, I thought, okay, well, maybe they'll do the Bayley thing because they kind of teased it throughout the show. And I figured, oh, yeah, she's going to attack Bayley, or Bayley's just going to back off and not do anything and be conflicted. And they're going to string this along for quite some time, maybe eventually build to a Sasha Bayley match. Well, they went in a different direction. And I don't want to see Bayley and Sasha Banks teaming again, but them as heels is a lot better than they were as faces.
And I think that's where the difference lies between this and last time, because it wasn't initially, I suppose this was going to happen, I think we talked about it, is that Sasha Banks was supposed to be the one to turn on Bayley.
Yes, of course.
And, within their whole, and obviously that never happened due to whatever circumstances, and they waited too long or what have you, but this worked tonight only because throughout the night when Bayley was talking about yeah, we're still friends, I'm not really sure why she did what she did, but I still did what I did, and now I'm champion, and now I'm sticking to my integrity and gonna be doing the right thing and whatnot. But this was now you just piqued people's levels of interest only because now they're both heel. Mm-hmm. And they didn't turn on each other in order to do it, they turned on somebody else. And what is the dynamic going to look like now that they're both heels as opposed to both being faces?
Yeah.
This was a long time coming for Bayley. She definitely needed a character change and her development. But Sasha Banks, too, she's just a natural heel. I never looked at her and thought of her as a face. I really didn't, honestly. So I find that actually this may be more interesting, and they may actually feel more comfortable in their characters, honestly, because I'm just going throughout the night, even too with Sasha Banks, when Becky Lynch was when she was doing her segment out in the ring, and Sasha came out, and I'm not going to say I was blown away by her on the mic tonight. However, she definitely improved from what she did even last week until now. There was no pauses. I mean, until the very end, she got silly, but that's okay.
Right.
But during the whole thing, she was pausing more, and she showed more of I guess of what a boss is supposed to be like.
A boss.
All right.
That's so Jersey of you, boss. The boss. Yeah. It's a really good development for Sasha Banks as a heel character to. It's kind of weird to say that, her sidekick right now is Bayley because Bayley's the SmackDown Women's Champion, but that's just how it is.
That's all right.
And in fact, after Clash of Champions, it very well may be the SmackDown Women's Champion will be a heel Bayley, and the Raw Women's Champion will be a heel Sasha Banks. And wouldn't it be something if, how cool would this be? If Bayley and Sasha Banks now reunite, screw that Boston Hug Connection crap, just be a heel tag team, and get those women's tag team belts too. Now they're the dynasty of the women's division. I think that'd be a really cool thing. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but damn, like, you know, like there's so many like cool things you could do with this Bayley heel turn. I'm just gotta say I'm so happy it happened, because it's gonna freshen it. The heel turn definitely freshened up Sasha Banks, because she was dying a death as a face, you know, for all this time. And God, Bayley was even worse off. Damn, that's gonna be a great thing for her character too.
I can't wait to see what happens with that, honestly. More so for Bayley, because like I said, for Sasha, I've always saw her as a heel,
right?
No matter what. But, you know, for her to go to complete opposite, because Bayley was supposed to be like a John Cena in the sense of...
That's a great point.
You know, where she's always supposed to be this face and for the kids and everything else, like representing that like poppy sort of, you know...
Yeah.
Like form of, you know, a character. So this will be really interesting to see, because she looks so nice too. You know,
Bayley,
like Bayley looks so nice. So it will be interesting to see her play this mean girl.
Yeah, actually, it just gave me like a reason to want to tune into SmackDown, even though really, SmackDown's it's a tough show to get a crowd for. I'd love to tune into SmackDown to catch that heel promo if she even does one. That'd be really pretty good. You know, I've been giving hugs all this time, and you kids suck, and you know, like whatever. Just
could you imagine? She goes out into the ring, like she's walking down the ramp, and a kid like Baron Corbin did tonight is looking for a high five. Oh god, that was hilarious. But Bayley does, and she's just like, no, like, could you imagine? Like
my god.
I mean, I'm sure there are children devastated right now.
I'm sure there are
devastated.
But that's what you want in a wrestling heel turn. You want people to be really upset. You want to see like you know, zoom in on kids crying and things like that. And damn, the only thing the only thing that was bad about this show, about this heel turn, the only thing that I could possibly complain about is the fact that on a 3-hour show, you would think they'd have plenty of time to do everything, but they ran out of time. Bayley hit her with the chair at like 10:59. It turned to 11. They were already queuing up the graphics, and it's like everybody's just kind of processing what happened. And she goes to hit her more. I would have liked to have seen just a little more of the attack and hear more of that crowd, because that was like really the first time in a while that the Baltimore crowd was really alive. You know, so if anything, I wish that they had like 2 more minutes left or 3 more minutes left.
Yeah,
and
no, I know what
kind
you
of did that. And just have the commentators like going crazy and stuff like that. But overall, this was a huge success. And let's say hi to everybody. Let's continue saying hi to people in the chat room. We got Mr. Doug Lackey in the chat room tonight.
Hello, Doug.
Who hosts Wrestleview Weekly every Wednesday. There's going to be enormous changes or additions to the milk carton after tonight's show, barring anything happening tomorrow night on SmackDown. Also have Kit Dyson in the chat room. Yeah, and we'll just keep continuing on. We'll just keep saying hi. You know, if you're listening to us and haven't said hi yet, please say hi. All right. Yeah, it was just a good thing, and really kind of gave a much needed boost to this show that, you know, like I said, it was slow at times, but there definitely was some news coming out on a Labor Day Raw.
And a good main event for women.
Yes.
Not for the sake of having women in your main event. This is actually a really good main event to showcase the women's division. Thank you. Sorry.
From the woman.
No, because I'm like the anti-feminist on this show, as we know. You know what I mean?
Victoria hates women. She's like my grandmother. Oh, you know me. I ain't no lady lover boy. It's like, all right, Grandma. No, if you give Anna Eileen a hug, it's not gonna like kill the world here. It's like, all right, no one's gonna accuse you of anything.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Old ladies, gotta love it. Yeah. Anyway, so let's continue on with the Raw now. Now we're just gonna do the big moments of Raw. Let's talk about the other big news coming out of tonight, which involves the King of the Ring tournament. We'll talk about the Baron Corbin Cedric Alexander match, which, by the way, was easily the best Baron Corbin match I've ever scene.
Oh my god, I know, right?
It was so good.
Oh,
And everything, and it wasn't just because he's wrestling Cedric Alexander, so it's a really good match. Like Baron Corbin was great in this match. He was great in his entrance too. Like denying that kid a high five was
oh my gosh,
magic. He was great when they told him. He was great when they had him backstage and told him more news that wasn't good for him. It was everything about Baron Corbin was incredible tonight.
I hate saying it. I hate it.
I don't. I want to enjoy everything on the screen.
No, because like I was so anti, and I still am to an extent. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, he's my favorite superstar by any means.
Right.
But I'm not completely hating the fact that he's on television.
I know.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no, it was great. But the big news pertaining to the King of the Ring, Baron Corbin, by the way, beat Cedric Alexander, is the fact that Ricochet and Samoa Joe had their match, and it was okay. It was getting good. Ricochet pulled off some really great, the guy's just incredible. I don't know how he thinks of these things, visualizes it, does them, and hits them perfectly every single time. But he's an incredible athlete. But the finish of this match was Samoa Joe gets Ricochet in a coquina clutch while on the top rope. Ricochet kicks back, lands on him. They're both laying next to each other with their arms on each other, on their backs, and the referee counts the pin. So it's a double pinfall. A lot of confusion going on. All of a sudden, John Cone gets out of the ring. It's like, why don't they do this more often? It's always like one of those things where it's like, okay, they'll do it here, but they don't do it there. It's like, it's like one of those things that drives people crazy about wrestling. But hey, it's wrestling. They're just telling a story. He goes to the timekeeper's area, talks to somebody backstage, and then he just goes off. And Ricochet's like, what happened? He goes, we'll have an official decision later, but the match is over. Well, the official decision now is next week at Raw from Madison Square Garden, which we will be attending, by the way.
Oh, boy.
It will be Ricochet versus Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin in the King of the Ring semifinals, a triple threat match in the King of the Ring. So, once again, they are all about making history. First time in history that the tag team champions are facing each other for the world title in the main event. Oh my God, history. First time ever that the women's tag team champions are taking on both women's champions of Raw and SmackDown. History. And now we're going to get history with a triple threat match in the King of the Ring tournament. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool move. That's a pretty cool move. And especially because, I don't know, like I was just saying before how much I really like Ricochet, and last week I kind of had like some predictions for the tournament. I thought that Ricochet and Cedric Alexander would be a great match for Madison Square Garden for the semifinals. They could absolutely tear the house down. But you know what? I kind of like this a lot better. Well,
it's interesting because, when Baron, and although the match itself, Baron versus Cedric Alexander, was a good match, when Baron won, you weren't expecting that. Not that you weren't expecting Baron to win, but you weren't expecting this whole triple threat idea. So the fact that they went with that instead brought back like the liveliness of wanting to see like how this pans out with the King of the Ring. So it was like because it's like, oh really, Baron Corbin,
I know.
He just beat him, and then so it took away from the thrill of a possible Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, but now you're getting something even
more interesting.
Yeah.
Now, and obviously they're doing this because they want to build Ricochet up as this like, super underdog, going into, the King of the Ring tournament, beating all these like, good guys. The only thing that I would change about this, I don't know if I would have done a triple threat match as much as I would have just had Ricochet and Samoa Joe have a rematch next week, and the winner immediately has to face Baron Corbin after. Kind of stretch that out a little bit, and then, let's say Ricochet beats Samoa Joe, and then, he comes into the Baron Corbin match injured, and then he beats Baron Corbin. Just to put over more that he's an underdog. I thought that would have been a cool way to go. But you know what? I'll take the triple threat match all day long. I think it's actually going to be a very good triple threat match. But let's not discount the fact that, Samoa Joe in this is also very, very awesome. I was talking about how much I enjoy Baron Corbin tonight, how much I like Ricochet, but Samoa Joe is just one tough dude. It seems like every other match I see him in, he's getting busted open. He was busted open again tonight.
I don't know. He is somebody who I'm really happy that after everything, there's finally some sort of plan for him and that he's a top contender, because he's always been
Yeah.
in everybody's mind somebody who should be a top contender, somebody who should be, you know, every week or whatever, and being featured quite frequently. So I'm just happy that this is sticking, and praying that it continues the momentum that he has.
Yeah. He looks really good right now.
Because he's just so good.
I'm digging this Mojo presentation from WWE right now. Okay. And the other news coming out of tonight is, well, let's talk about the contract signing, and then we'll talk about the contract signing. Okay. So the show kicks off with a contract signing for Clash of Champions. And initially when they came on the air, and I got really excited for like 2 minutes of the show. How excited was I?
Yeah, you were.
Because Corey Graves welcomed us to the show, and I was like, oh, that's odd. And then Renee Young welcomed us to the show, and I was like, oh, that's again odd, because usually it's like Michael Cole's like, welcome to Baltimore. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, what, you know, like just doing his Michael Cole thing. And I was like, yeah, I know, right? And I was like, oh my God, for like the first time in a trillion years, Michael Cole might have taken a vacation and isn't on the show tonight. Because I was like, oh, you know, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were on vacation last week. They weren't on Raw. You know, Corey Graves took a vacation from Raw 2 weeks ago. Like, I was like, oh, cool. Maybe that's what they're doing. And then now it's just Michael Cole was in the ring for the contract signing. But for like 2 minutes, I was really, really pumped about Monday Night Raw.
Oh my
really,
gosh,
really pumped.
I can't.
So, he's in the ring. He's going to be officiating this contract signing with Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. Sorry, I got Baron Corbin on my mind right now. And it, of course, you know, Seth Rollins talks about how, you know, he beat the Beast and he's going to beat a monster as well, and signs a contract. Braun Strowman goes to sign the contract. AJ Styles and the OC cut him off. So AJ Styles says, you know, oh, we're all about making history. So again, you know, a history thing.
History.
That is WWE's thing right now, is all this history stuff.
The theme.
Oh, it's history.
It's the theme.
History of a Clash of Champions. And then AJ went on to make some pretty good points. You know, he's like, oh, you know, just because he looks at the title, Braun Strowman just looked at the Universal title, so he gets a championship match. Oh, well, gee, nobody look at my United States title right now, or I'll have to give you an opportunity. You know, he kind of like made fun of like the fact that like, yeah,
he's
like,
so
like,
good
like,
at
like,
that.
Like,
he's
like
really good at
why
that.
do some people have to go through, you know,
The Ringer
to get a title shot, and then like, and the way they got the tag team titles too was that they just asked for it. Meanwhile, Gallows and Anderson lose the tag team titles and then have to go through tag team turmoil to get them back, and didn't win.
Don't you wish you could just go to the bank and look at like $1 million?
Yeah, right, and it's yours.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's yours. You can just have it, enjoy it. That would be really nice. Yeah, so I love when the heels, they're not just being assholes to be assholes. They're actually wind up making good points.
And they actually...
It's just that they go about it the wrong way.
They make more valid points in the faces, to be honest with you. But
and they
again, their approach is not ideal.
And they always have more friends in the faces.
Always have more
always.
friends.
I've never seen... I've never
know.
seen a face with as many friends as a heel.
I gotta be honest with you. If I was ever a superstar, I would want to be a heel. I just would want to be a heel.
I mean, by the end of this segment, all of the segment and the match that followed with Rollins and Strowman versus Gallows and Anderson, there were 5 heels that teamed up to take out Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman.
No friends.
And no one came to the aid of Rollins and Strowman.
Else.
Nobody.
You would think of fate. You know, it's funny. If you think about
they're supposed to be good guys. They have no friends. None.
They don't ever come to aid. I actually want to talk about that.
Okay.
Are you finished with that point?
Go ahead.
Okay, so when the match was taking place, I thought like it actually was a very good match. I thought they had some really interesting things that happened during the match, but at the very end, I was very conflicted because even though I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this, and I'm actually really obsessed with the OC now.
The show or the tag team?
The tag team. I hate the name, but with the OC, the way they kind of went about like the way they go about attacking Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman is a little bit different. But what I was very conflicted about is this whole Braun Strowman thing. And I might be getting too analytical here and analyzing it way too much, but I find that like, you know, this whole and then when Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode came on for the attack as well. Robert. I felt that I'm like we mentioned just now about the no friends thing, but I also thought to myself, Braun is a beastly guy. So it was a little bit back and forth. I'm like, okay, yes, it would take a village to keep him down, so to speak, but I also get conflicted. Like, he also should just be able to push people off of him. So I don't know. I'm extremely conflicted with still the usage of Braun Strowman. I'm not saying anything was bad by any means, and again, I think I'm just picking and analyzing way too much, but the whole idea that, okay, yes, it makes sense that 5 men have to take him down, but also at the same time, he should be so strong that he should be able to just push them off, and it shouldn't even be an issue.
Yes.
So that's where my conflict kind of lies a little bit, but overall, I would say everything was great. Like, and even, again, I still think Ziggler and Robert Roode is very random together, but whatever.
It'll never stop being random, I don't think. That's always going to be like, how did that tag team get made?
I don't know.
And then it's like, why wasn't this tag team made a long time ago? Because I kind of like the Bobby Roode thing. I like Bobby Roode.
But do you agree with me about Strowman? Match. I don't know. Like I said, I think I'm being too picky, but
well, you got to build up that tag match somehow as well.
But it was
by the way, yeah. I do think, I'm just gonna make a bold prediction right now.
Oh gosh, I'm scared.
That Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins are not losing the tag team titles at Clash of Champions.
Ooh.
I do not think that's happening.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I can't make a point right now.
Why not?
I don't know. I just feel like, well, first of all, I'll probably forget it, and then I don't know. I can't decide.
I know.
Because either way, you have a great thing going if either one of them wins. So.
Right. Quentin Walters wants to know who was meant to come out, and I was like, well, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins faced Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler immediately, like after. Like they couldn't at least come out, like maybe they get beat down, and then the faces just look like total losers if you have like all these guys,
But no, it's
even
just,
now and they get beat down.
It's not just this match; it's like the overall idea of a face. Like if you just look at everything that transpires, it's like they have no friends. It really is true.
It is true. It is very true. Okay, you already kind of went over that Rollins and Strowman versus Anderson and Gallows match. The finish was kind of wonky with it, I thought. Just kind of like the roll up, and then that's it. But that's all right, no problem. Rollins and Strowman victorious. AJ Styles and the OC, along with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, viciously attacked them afterwards. So that's the end of them. We come back from the break, and there's 2 faces in the ring of Riders and Hawkins, facing Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Robert Roode. Don't say Bobby.
No, don't say
Bobby. And this match went on too long.
I remember your face because you actually didn't.
Why?
They cut to them in the ring, and then they had the Ziggler and Roode come out. But I remember your face, like, because you were still typing from before.
Yeah.
And I go, oh no, and you're like, let me guess.
Yeah, because I didn't see the screen, so I was just like, it's Ryder and Hawkins, isn't it? And she's like, yup.
I'll let you.
How are these guys ever tag team champions in this calendar year? I don't get it. I'll never understand it. Like, why did they have a WrestleMania moment? Like, why are they existing? I don't understand it.
Their best thing was to not be champions.
Right.
If that makes any sense. Their whole thing going for them was like...
They were good jobbers. You need a good jobber on the roster.
Not even that. It was...
You do, though.
Okay, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with that, but not even that. But Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder... They had a good thing going when they were losing constantly. Like,
yeah.
It was just, it was. Use his telling us I was going to wear the shirt and be like, okay, boys and girls, we're going to count how many times by, fives. How many times? How many times by fives this individual lost? They love when I bring wrestling into the classroom, by the way.
Of course.
But I mean, it was a really good thing. And then when Zack Ryder came about, it's like, oh, now we're going to lose together for like a good period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And at least it's something to talk about. Now it's just like, ugh.
I know. And it went too long too. It's
way
like,
too long.
It's like I don't understand. Oh, apparently we had a sound issue real quick. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Oh,
Is it resolved?
Oh no, it's resolved. They said sound and then sound's back. So it was within 30 seconds of happening.
Maybe it was my voice that like
I think it was Victoria's voice just like put it over the edge.
I'm sorry.
She apologizes, but if you can't hear her, yeah, and it's just like it went too long too. Like they're good in this position as jobbers. They don't need to be champions. They shouldn't ever be champions. In fact, it only can serve to devalue those titles by giving it to them. Not that they're very valuable to begin with. But this match just went too long. It was just like, God, is it going to end like at any point? Like I felt Ryder and Hawkins got way too much offense on Ziggler and Rude, and it's like we should just be like Ziggler and Rude wasn't a thing 8 days ago, and now they are a tag team going for the titles. And they have to sell this much for we should be establishing these guys as a dangerous threat, kind of give them like a Viking Raider kind of thing, but not like, destroy them like the Viking Raiders do, but just run through them real quick. I mean, they just during Tag Team Turmoil, they beat Hawkins and Ryder in like 2 seconds. It didn't last long at all.
And I think what's contradictory is that they came out to defeat this monster of Braun Strowman.
Yeah, they easily took down that guy, and they can't get rid of.
I mean, granted,
great point.
I mean, granted, they had 4 other individuals. I mean, 3 other individuals to help them, but still, they were just attacking him, and they're like, "Oh, we're big, strong tag team champions, and we're gonna defeat Braun Strowman." And then all of a sudden, it's like,
right,
Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder have you shook.
Who knew? Who knows why? No one knows why. Anyway, let's go to the other big stuff coming out of the night. Let's talk about the King of the Ring quarterfinal match with Baron Corbin and Cedric Alexander. Like I said before, everything. Now, damn it! Now I have Braun Strowman in my mind. Everything Baron Corbin did in this match was terrific. By far, his best showing in a long time, maybe ever, on the main roster.
I think it's because he's not being shoved down our throats.
Right.
He doesn't have this management position.
He isn't. Yeah.
He doesn't have this management position anymore.
Yeah, I hated that. Ugh.
And I think it was also too because of the, his Kurt Angle's last match was with him. So that was annoying. There's a lot that he's done in the past that were against him, but I feel like if initially they just went with this Baron Corbin, and I'm still trying to figure out get a full picture of Baron Corbin, but maybe everybody wouldn't be so ugh.
Well, I mean that's the character, and if that's the character's doing a good job, if that's the case, it's just it's always a question of is it the kind of heat that turns off the television, or the kind of heat that makes people want to see you get beat up?
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe the house shows were really helped him. Maybe that's where he had an opportunity to kind of develop himself a little bit more for TV. I do think
that month off helped him greatly to kind of refresh the character, give it time to breathe, because he was off TV for from Extreme Rules until that tag match that they had right before his King of the Ring match 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So he was off for like a full month. But he wasn't off. He didn't disappear. He main evented every single Raw branded pay-per-view. I'm sorry, Raw branded house show. 3 times a weekend wrestling.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he wasn't doing anything. Maybe that gave him like a little bit of a fresh start. Let him kind of figure himself out a little bit, and also give the audience a much needed break of the Baron Corbin. Everything was a total reset.
Bit of a reset.
Because he's come back, in these last 3 weeks or so. Yeah, I would say about 3 weeks. He's been really, really he's been good.
I feel like anybody who has a really significant amount of time and has that opportunity to have a reset actually benefits them. And Cedric Alexander is just amazing. I think that's already well established, and people are really starting to see his showings in the ring.
Yeah.
But Baron Corbin was...
His ability, yeah. He's really good ability.
Baron Corbin, though, was on an even playing field with him in the match tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
he didn't outshine him.
Grash in the chat room actually comes up with a really interesting observation about Baron Corbin.
Okay.
He actually thinks that Corbin is the next Triple H. And Daniel Shell says he's a poor version of Triple H, but Grash says, Triple H wasn't all that good when he started. But I have watched some of the old Raws from like '95 and a couple episodes of Superstars as well. He wasn't bad either, though. I will say Triple H wasn't bad. Corbin's not bad either. But I think Grash thinks that Baron Corbin's going to actually develop into something really good in the coming years, and have a really good long main event run. We shall see. But this time off definitely really helped him for sure. King Corbin, they are really pushing that. I'm almost very interested to see if that's where they go for Clash of Champions.
I remember how we weren't surprised by that if that actually was the case.
Right, but the only thing is on the SmackDown side, it's like, to me, Andrade's winning the whole thing. I think I've said that in the past.
Yes, you did.
Andrade's winning the whole thing, so it's like, and there's really no faces for Corbin to go against except Ali. Ali's like the last face that's like credible that could potentially win in the King of the Ring tournament on the SmackDown side. Okay. It's Ali and Elias and Andrade and Chad Gable. Okay. Obviously, Chad Gable has no business beating Andrade on the SmackDown side.
No.
Elias really, and so that means that if Andrade's winning, then Elias and Andrade in the semifinals of at Madison Square Garden wouldn't work at all. So it's got to be Andrade versus Ali, which would be a great match. And look, maybe Ali would win it if Corbin's going to wind up winning the entire thing. Maybe Ali beats him, or if it's Ricochet, and then it's got to be Andrade at King of the Ring. So that seems like that seems like the formula they've been following for the King of the Ring. It's like you have a face, gotta have a heel.
You make valid points.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But you know what? I have to say, I've really, really enjoyed this King of the Ring tournament so far. Really, really enjoyed it. And tonight was a really nice surprise.
Yeah, very much so.
And again, I've never heard "This is awesome" chant during a Baron Corbin match. Ever.
Never.
So.
And people can lie and say it was all Cedric, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
You're lying to yourself.
It was not all Cedric. Yeah, you are just being a silly Willy. Okay. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch in the ring. This is at the 9 o'clock hour, I believe it was. And, of course, she panders to the crowd immediately. It's good to be back in Baltimore. Then she says that, "Oh, I heard what you said, Becky Lynch, last week, and it's a load of crap." What happened? What did I say?
Sasha Banks. You meant Sasha Banks. That's not
I meant Sasha Banks. I can't get these damn names straight.
No, you know what? Can I just say this real quick? It's people who recap and review. No, exactly. No, but people who recap and review, we tend to like flub sometimes. So give us a break and don't be the one to be like, "You mean Sasha Banks." Okay, please.
No one's doing that. Oh my god.
Sorry,
you're still very sour about Twitter on Saturday.
I am. Sorry.
Tell a funny story about that at the end of the show.
Okay. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So she goes, "What happened to Sasha Banks? You have no reason to be whining. You were the centerpiece of NXT while I was the sidekick. Banks, you had a ton of opportunities on the main roster while I was struggling to get TV times. You even got bouquets of flowers from the company. You and Charlotte Flair were the centerpieces while she was an afterthought." And she goes, "I'm the one making history, but with all your talent, you should have been the one making history." And she's proven both Flair and Sasha Banks to be frauds and calls Banks a delusional little weirdo. And when Banks left WrestleMania, she had nothing. Meanwhile, Bayley has been doing just fine without her. That must sting. Lynch says she's the face of the company. That also must sting. And she says, "I just want to remind you, when Banks..." Lynch called out Banks numerous times because she wanted to remind her of how badly Banks treated her when she was nothing. And she wants to do this face-to-face and calls her blue-haired little freak. Sasha Banks comes out to the stage, says, "You're right. I should have been in the main event of WrestleMania. I wanted to be on the magazine cover, have all the fame and money. Now you have it. And the only reason that you have it is because Nia Jax broke your face." Which, there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. Becky Lynch was red hot. When we went to go see her at Evolution last year, red hot.
Red hot.
She was well on the way of being a major league star. And then that Ronda Rousey build started happening for the Survivor Series match that was supposed to happen. And, man, she really got put over big. And it's almost like, I don't want this match to happen in Survivor Series. I want it to happen, later on down the line. Maybe it's a WrestleMania match. And then Nia Jax broke her face, and it didn't happen. And it didn't hurt her. It didn't hurt her. It actually just helped propel her just farther on than ever.
It pushed her, quickly, even more so.
So, just some really, really great stuff. This was actually pretty darn good stuff here. I like when they kind of bring in these, pull the curtain back a little bit, little personal stuff.
Me too.
Lynch challenges to a fight, but she says, I'm not doing anything for free. I'm doing it for the paycheck. So I want the Raw title at Clash of Champions. So Becky Lynch accepts. This was a very good thing. And then after that happened, Sasha Banks says that at Clash of Champions, the man will be the boss's bitch. Good stuff. I can't say that I'm not liking this Sasha Banks character. There's always a few things that happen that with Sasha Banks when she's cutting a promo where it's like, okay, she overdid it here, but you know what? Not a lot of missteps lately.
Well, I can't, like I said before, I can't say that she definitely went leaps and bounds from last week, but just for the sheer fact that she didn't pause in between, that she was just very consistent when she was speaking. And I liked what she was saying in terms of bringing Becky's, Nia Jax situation into it, but also too, what I really enjoyed about it was the whole money thing. Like, I feel like no one ever says that. And we've talked about this before where no one ever talks about the monetary value. Like, no, I'm not going to give this match away to these people in Baltimore. Like, that's not going to help me any. I want my money. So we're going to do it at Clash of Champions where it's, it's going to be a good paycheck for me.
Right.
That's really that. And to me, like, again, they don't use that enough. And again, I'm not saying they should overuse it, but this is a perfect, again, this is a way of her being like a boss. And, she had like those money symbol glasses at one point. Like, this just kind of shows that she wants to do things on her own terms, and it has to, bringing forth the whole selfish component to her character, that really brings into it. Now, I'm doing this for me. Right. And if I'm gonna do this, I better be getting paid for it.
Yeah. I like that. It makes a lot of sense. And hey, again, another instance of a heel actually making
much better
sense
than last week.
So very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. Okay, let's do the quick hits of Raw. We are very efficient Labor Day Raw here, post-Raw show at least. We talked about the Ziggler Raw and Rude match. Lacey Evans back on Raw. Now she came back on SmackDown last week, so that was her first appearance in over a month. Her last appearance was at Extreme Rules in the main event. So she returned last week in a losing effort. Now she's on Raw this week, and there's no explanation where she's been at all. Challenging Natalya, who, yeah, she's had some tough times on the main roster with her busted arm or whatever. That it was busted and so bad that she was going to miss time, and then now she's not missing time, so that storyline was a little inconsistent. She was just challenging for the Raw title just a couple weeks ago, and now she's down and out for whatever reason. Lacey Evans beats Natalya, and Evans hasn't been seen in a month. It's just she comes back and just picks up a victory over Natalya. Nothing else is said about it. The match was clunky. It was a little bit of a mess to me. I don't know what they're doing with Natalya, as usual. I like Lacey Evans. I do. I want, like Lacey Evans and another one, even though she was off TV for about a month and a half, wrestled Becky Lynch on every single Raw-branded house show. Every single one. She faced Becky Lynch every single time. So she's been honing her craft. I was expecting, so when she came out tonight, I was expecting a little more, especially against somebody like Natalya, but
I think the problem...
This missed for me. It missed.
Well, I think it's a miss, too, because of the fact that there's, there's certain tiers, obviously, within wrestling. You have your main eventers, you have people who are close to main eventers, and you have, like, your mid-card, your jobbers. Like, there's always some sort of title, right? So I feel like there's such a discrepancy and there's such a huge gap between, like, who Becky Lynch, who's a main eventer, and then somebody who, like, Dana Brooke, who's at the bottom. Mm-hmm. There's nobody in between. So anybody who faces the main person doesn't have anybody to fall back to. There's nobody at that second level who's, like, a contender.
Oh, it's actually a really interesting thing because I'm just checking out the chat room right now, and Victoria, because of the way we have this all set up, I'm the one who's checking out the chat room. Victoria does not get to see the chat room. Grash brings up, and you just brought the same point that Grash brought up. He asked the question: is Sasha going to be Becky food? You know, and by food he means someone for the champ to face during their run, or is it, or is she going to be that person that beats her? I don't think Sasha Banks is Becky food, number one. But number two, you're right in the sense that they do need to build up that transitional person that somebody does face during their run. Yeah. Like Natalya was Becky food. But we need more people to be food, for either Becky or Sasha Banks. So
you need people who are top but not the main person.
But yeah, not the main person. So that could be a Lacey Evans. Right. Very well could be.
And they're both in that same position, so I think that's why everything kind of fell flat for them. And I think also with Natalya tonight, unfortunately, she went back to her ways of just smiling, and it wasn't sinister like it should have been, and everything else. It was just kind of
even when she attacked her tonight, because Natalya attacked Lacey Evans during her entrance. There was like no fire there. Just like she gets in the ring and then she throws in the barricade and then she's like, yes. It's like that's the Natalya face.
It was a hot mess and I just feel like
they just kind of did stuff and then it ended.
Yeah, I feel really actually bad for both of them, only because Lacey Evans should be that transitional person. She definitely should. And Natalya, in theory, should also be a transitional and also one of the top female superstars. Yeah. Again, she actually had a really good feud with Becky Lynch in that whole setup, but it's also not only does it go from like it has this gap, but it also has it either goes from like you're the really top and then you just crash. Right. There's nothing there for her to like fall back on.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see what happens. This could. But Becky Lynch's run very well could be over come September 15th. We'll see. Okay, another quickie, as Quentin Walters likes to call it, the quickies. We got the Viking Raiders versus, let me get their names right, Tyler Hastings and Brian Thomas.
I think they're my favorite, these two.
Those guys were awesome.
I love them.
And they were right. Like the one guy looked like Honky Tonk Son's grandson or something like that. Oh my God, it was so funny the way they were ripping on these guys. Viking Raiders absolutely murdered these guys. It was straight up murder.
I like those guys, though.
It was hilarious because they had them cut a heel promo before the match, and they're like, we're going to, we came from Pittsburgh, and Baltimore goes crazy. And then all of a sudden it turns into, we're going to show these Baltimoreans, what we're all about.
They were great.
It was hilarious. It was like these guys were such dicks. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Eric and Ivar just murdered them both. It was just great. I loved, especially at the end when they threw the little tiny guy Hastings up in the air and for the Viking experience. And he just, like, as soon as he went up in the air, he goes, ah! It's hilarious. It was just perfect.
Oh man.
Again, so the Viking Raiders, after being in the tag team turmoil last week and being booked like crap, are back doing squash matches. I'm left wanting to see some direction for them again, but after how they were booked in tag team turmoil, if that's the best that they have for them right now, I'll sit back and watch more of these squash matches until they figure something out for these guys.
They have to stop with this.
They have to figure it out.
They have to stop with this inconsistency because
it
really does hurt them in the end. Because if they did a squash match last week and they did another one this week, again, it would leave you wondering, like, you want them to do more, of course, but there's always a fan who remembers. Yeah. They don't think that the fans remember things, but there's always that fan. It's just like when Ronda Rousey lost in that tag team match.
Oh, like I remember?
Like you remember, you know what I mean?
Never made sense. That just doesn't make sense.
But again, because I thought they actually paid attention, because I remember when Asuka was on her, like, her winning streak, and then she was in that, what was that called with the Miz that she did?
Oh, the mixed match challenge.
They won it. Yeah. So to me, if you were going to be doing something like that, she should win, especially if this whole idea is that she doesn't lose, right? So a fan always remembers. There's always like either a hardcore fan that's going to remember, like, oh, do you remember when the Viking Raiders lost though in that tag team turmoil, and it was just they just got obliterated, so to speak. It was like,
yeah, exactly.
There's always somebody who remembers something, so they have to keep that continuity.
Or some crazy recapper out there that just remembers. Hey, Sweet Lou's in the chat room. All right, he's a good-looking dude. That guy, Sweet Lou.
God, you're so weird.
Anybody is. What do you want me to say?
I know, but you're weird.
All right, the Firefly Funhouse. Here's some more news coming out of this. So all those rumors about, Sacramento showcasing, the arena from Sacramento showcasing that it's going to be Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins or Braun Strowman at Hell in a Cell. Well, they were confirmed tonight. Because usually, those things that get sent out by the arenas, just kind of like teaser matches just to kind of get people to buy tickets, and then it always winds up changing.
Yeah.
Well, this time it didn't change. I guess they thought it was a really good idea. The Fiend versus either Rollins or Strowman. The Fiend shouldn't be losing, so could the Fiend be very, very well be champion in October?
Shouldn't be losing.
You should never lose.
Should never lose.
Ever. Right.
So, yeah, in theory, you are correct. Let's see if it follows through.
Right. Right.
What's the matter?
No. I'm trying to figure something out. And then Nafi says there's the screen cap for. Oh, okay, I got it. Oh, he's talking about when I was imitating Natalia, I think. Yeah. So the Firefly Funhouse segment was a lot of fun tonight. It was just really good. He had Puppet Vince McMahon come out, and he goes, "You're challenging Seth Rollins or Braun Strowman to a title match? They are too valuable," so he's going to fire him. And then he goes, "No, wait a minute. He pulls out a stack of cash, and he goes, "Look what I've been making." And then he feeds Vince the $1. Vince goes away. He says, Rollins and Strowman don't make a great team, but he's embraced teamwork, and his team of puppets are shown. He says, in another life, Wyatt and I put Wyatt and Rollins. I meant to put Strowman and Rollins took something dear to him. Wyatt says his team helps him cope with the pain, but the Fiend helps him inflict it, so he'll see you in hell. Wyatt goes stone-faced, let me in, then happily says goodbye. Great stuff. I love every single Firefly's Funhouse segment is a home run. God, that is just such an interesting concept. The Fiend versus, going for the title at Hell in a Cell in October, 2 days after they debut on Fox. I'm telling you, wrestling these next few weeks, or this next month and a half, really, it's a monumental thing. It's a monumental thing. September 2nd is a month away from AEW debuting. We're 2 weeks away from NXT debuting on USA Network. We are a month away from SmackDown going to Fox. This is like the best time to be a wrestling fan. And not only that, we're having a baby in October as well. So my wrestling life watching habits are changing, as is my regular life, our regular life. It's a great time to be alive.
This should be the best fall ever for wrestling and for Baby Tedesco.
Yes, for Baby Tedesco and for wrestling, this is going to be the best fall ever.
When think about
has
there ever been a good fall wrestling?
I can't remember one, not in a long time. But man, there's just so many options. I don't get how anybody can be angry about wrestling anymore. It's like, you don't like this, watch that, or watch both. You don't have to choose a side. That's the best part. You don't have to choose a side. You can just watch and enjoy and see what happens. But WWE is doing some great things right now, whether people want to admit it or not. AEW's got some good stuff cooking, and whether people want to admit it or not, a lot more people will admit that on the internet at least. This is just awesome time to be a wrestling fan. Awesome time. All right, let's finish up our last quickie on Raw, and then we'll do a programming note for next week. Miz.
My story.
And your story. What story was it now?
The Twitter one.
The Twitter one. Yes. The Miz versus Cesaro. Okay. So Cesaro on Saturday flew over to England after doing some kind of goodwill overseas as well. So the guy's been traveling all week. And goes over to NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. Has a good match. A lot of people were raving about the match, but I thought it was okay. It was just okay. I thought Ilja Dragunov was a little over the top and goofy looking and kind of looked like Ivan Drago went through the spin cycle a couple times. Just looked like this guy just looks like a goof to me. It's like not everybody they have in the on the NXT UK roster really lights my fire. But he took it to Cesaro. They had the epic match, and Cesaro wins. And then after all that, he gets to come back, fly overseas, come to Baltimore, and then lose to The Miz in a one-segment nothing match. Ay, ay, ay. And The Miz, by the way, who has been presented these last few weeks as a total loser. That's how they've been presenting him. That's how they've been presenting him.
How dare you?
I'm just telling you how they're
That's
presenting
an exaggeration.
him. Is it?
No, yes, it is, because I don't particularly like this form of The Miz, but I always will love The Miz, and you were over-exaggerating. Sorry.
Okay, I guess I'm over-exaggerating.
You are. He's not a total loser.
Hey, Jamel's in the chat room tonight. All
Jamel.
right, Jamel.
But
yes,
he has a baby coming, okay?
Who cares about his baby? Seriously.
How dare you?
You keep bringing up this baby thing like that's how they're booking him because of that.
Because races do pretty much
Who
in a
cares?
couple weeks.
Who cares?
Wait,
He had Monroe. They had Monroe, and he was doing Intercontinental title thing. He was the champion. He was the Intercontinental champion.
Well, two is bigger than one.
Who cares? They have Marjo living with them. Nobody cares. That has nothing to do with how he's booked.
Listen.
I'm sorry. We established this last week.
No, listen.
No way.
You're exaggerating, though. He's not a total loser. So
He's
stop.
a total loser.
Stop.
No, The Miz has been booked like garbage. He was a Shane McMahon food, and then that storyline went nowhere. Then he was beat down like a little wimp for like forever. It's like, come on.
Oh my gosh.
Let's be real.
No,
I just want to
like,
be real about The Miz.
not-
There are people that I like on the roster too that aren't doing that great.
No, but you were just over exaggerating because I like him. He's not a
I'm
total
not over exaggerating.
loser. Yes,
No,
you are.
Corey Graves literally said the guy is a loser.
I don't care. Oh, now all of a sudden you agree with Corey Graves? There's a ton of
No,
things
but
like
that-
Corey Graves stinks. He doesn't say this right. Blah blah blah.
No,
And this is the one thing.
Corey Graves is the guy who speaks whatever is in the big man's, Vince McMahon's mind.
Stop.
I'm just saying.
You're
that's
so
how
annoying.
they presented him.
Don't call him a total loser.
I'm saying they presented him as a total loser.
Okay, you know what? You're wrong.
Okay, fine. Well, jeez. Everybody thinks I'm in the doghouse now. I'll be okay. We're going back to work tomorrow, so I can't be in the doghouse for too long. Anyway, so that was Monday Night Raw. What did everybody think of Monday Night Raw? Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. No thumbs in the middle. No thumbs in the middle. For me, with the Bayley heel turn, with the King of the Ring news, with Miz getting a win even though he's been presented as a loser,
Stop. I hate you.
I got to give it a thumbs up. I'm giving it a thumbs up.
I'm giving it a thumbs up. I'm giving you a thumbs down right now.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, one programming note: next week we are going to be live at Madison Square Garden, so we will not be doing a post-Raw show next week. So there will be no post-Raw show. We will be back in 2 weeks doing the post-Raw show. Nafi Sadat gives it a thumbs up. Quentin Walters gives it 69%. Thumbs up. Daniel Schell says meh. I don't know if meh is a thumb up or a thumb down. Jamel Watson gives it the thumbs up. And we're still waiting on more. In the meantime, I'll tell you our funny little story about Twitter real quick with Victoria. So...
Shouldn't I tell it?
You should tell it. Go. Well, I'll give the backstory and then I'll let you finish. Okay. So, I was So I had a crazy day of recapping. AEW show went 4 hours. NXT UK went 3. On Saturdays and Sunday, what I do is I play organ at church. So I have to be at church for the 5 o'clock mass to play organ on Saturday, and then 9:15, 11:30 on Sunday to play those masses. I was like, it's NXT UK TakeOver. How long could it possibly go? And wouldn't you know, it went to 5 o'clock on the nose. So I had to start recapping the main event, and then I had to stop for a little bit. And then Victoria actually took over for me. And that's where and she did a great job, by the way.
And the network went down.
And my network went down. Then so I was like, okay, you just got to just like finish it up for me. And that's where the trouble started.
So, again, human being over here. When Walter retained the title of the WWE UK Championship, okay? Versus
Tyler Bate.
So we usually have a little system, what we do on Twitter. We give our thoughts and we post we post the results of the match, and then obviously we post it on the actual recap. So I, finishing the show, whatever, typed out who won, and I wrote at the bottom that, like, as Mike does that quick match results, which I think are very helpful, by the way, so thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
And again, I'm working with a program that I've never worked before, so I'm literally, like, doing all these things that he's telling me to do. And I accidentally wrote that Walter won the WWE UK Championship. So I posted on Twitter, whatever. And somebody goes, retain ? And I was like, really?
So condescending.
I was like, are you freaking kidding me? You're going to get on me about writing. I was like, I know it's a difference. But again, we are human. So if you were literally like looking at a recap or watching us or whatever you want to do, and your whole goal is to be like, oh, they messed up. Oh, they did this. Seriously? Like, you could just go away. I don't want to associate with you. I don't want to talk to you. You're rude. Because I don't look for people like, yeah, I've noticed like that there are things I'm like, oh, Mike, you may want to like, check that out. That's a mistake or whatever.
That never happens.
It never does. But what I'm saying is, or I even may look at another like, site and I'm like, oh, they like messed up on something. Credible sites.
Oh, yes. Okay, good.
Okay. But I don't go out there and be like, you made a mistake or whatever and blah, 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 blah.
Well,
I took it very personal, and I'm like, you know what?
She's been so lit up about it.
Well, yeah, because you know why?
Who cares?
Well, because...
I'm just going to read you what Jamal Watson said. He said, Twitter is a sewer, and I can't agree more. It just is. You can't get
I don't know if it's the hormones, but I was
It had to be the hormones.
I was really mad.
Oh, my God. It was... Yeah. Oh, my God. She was... lit up.
I was I'm ready.
She texted me during church, and she's like, "You're not gonna believe what this dick just said." I'm like, I'm getting ready, like, play like the mass parts, and she's like, "Oh, this asshole." I'm like, "Whoa."
He
like,
wrote
I'm feeling very
it was
holy
very
right
condescending, and I'm like, if you were looking just to like correct people's mistakes, you need to seriously go away. I don't stand for that. Like, he could have wrote nicely, be like, oh, he retained it. You may want to, and I would have been like, oh yeah, you know what, cool. Like, thanks for the, but it wasn't. He totally wasn't doing it to look out for my benefit by any means. And because I've never recapped before or in whatever, right. I was like, are you serious right now?
I know. People are just jerks. Quentin Walters has a story. I lived on Victoria Street, but I've renamed it to Victoria Tedesco Way.
Yeah.
Jamel with the question. Remember when Twitter was fun?
Yeah,
I have to. I do remember when Twitter was fun.
I remember when all social media was fun, and now it's just not.
Now it's just like this miserable thing that like people just get so, like just use it as an outlet to feel better about themselves.
Oh, and you know what? If half these people actually approached me, they wouldn't even approach me, because if they actually they half these people don't confront people in person.
No.
Say it to my face. I mean, obviously this person doesn't know me, and I hope they don't live anywhere in my area, because that would be creepy. But
who knows?
If they say it to my face. Like, are you kidding me?
People get so
like if they see me because we've actually gotten recognized at events for yes. Wrestleview, my gosh.
Yes, I know.
But if they saw me, they wouldn't say anything. That's what I love. They would say nothing.
Yes.
Because they're scared. Say it to my face.
I know.
How about that?
Grash, how about take it outside? How about that? Point. Grash your eyes. It says, "Point taken. Don't be condescending. Don't put the Miz down, and don't make fun of Snooki." Those are all good things to live by.
Thank you. Oh yeah, remember when people were like, "Oh, they talked about Snooki too much." Remember that?
Oh my god. Yes.
Oh.
But yeah. Twitter stinks. I mean, even like look what was trending on Twitter for like half the night was hashtag things we should cancel. This whole entire notion of cancel culture, and now they're actually coming up with things that they think that need to be canceled out.
All right.
Even
well,
more.
I don't want to go on a whole.
I don't want to get on a whole Twitter thing, but Jamel got me thinking. Now I do remember a time when social media was fun. I remember before I had the Raw recapping job, I would send out thoughts, just about whatever happened on Raw.
Yeah.
I remember like Sheamus liked my stuff. Like Billy Gunn messaged me about my comment on one of his segments. Kurt Angle. It's like that was fun. Like you used to have like healthy interactions with people. Now everything has to be just totally toxic. It's like so crazy. Well, anyway, Victoria's got to take a breath. We have to go because now it is it's time for us to hit the hay because we got work tomorrow, our first day of work in over 2 months, so we can't really complain all that much.
Whoa.
And you'll be off of work in another month, so like Victoria's like dreading going back.
It's not that I'm dreading. I just can't get up from a couch or my bed
oh
or
my God.
a chair. So
oh my god, Vin's in the chat room. He goes, "Oi!"
No, Vin.
She's sitting on my bladder.
He didn't say that. Is that?
I swear to God,
no, he
kidding.
didn't.
I'm not kidding. He's here right now. He's doing it.
That's my brother, right? Everyone.
All right. So anyway, we're gonna yes. So Victoria will be off in a month, so you can't really complain too much.
I can't get up from the couch.
I have to go all 10. I will help you up tomorrow. Don't worry. I will scoop you off with a spatula, and you'll be fine. All right. Again, programming note, we will be off next week. We're going to be at Madison Square Garden, so we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. I am Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com, and
I am Victoria Tedesco, the Twitter ranter.
The Twitter ranter, the Twitter vermin.
Things that should cancel Twitter haters and Twitter whatever.
Victoria's canceling out Twitter haters. That's who she's canceling out. All right, everybody. On that note, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Be well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.